So there was recently a new moon in Scorpio, and you know what that means? Absolutely nothing. If you can just excuse me for 1 minute. Sorry about that. I had to get my crystals that were charging next to my moon water so they wouldn't overpower my chakras. Astrology, spiritual healing, psychics,
I don't care if you believe in what I do.
and all the internet gurus online are all full of and have no special powers. In this video, I'm going to discuss how all of these new age practices are not scientifically sound and how at first glance they may seem harmless, but they can actually cause a lot more harm than good. There are people out there that literally believe in this stuff and think it's reality, and they allow it to dictate the trajectory of their lives. I want to shed light on this and show people that they don't have to fall for some of the things that I fell for. I'm embarrassed to say it. There was a time in my life where I really believed in this stuff. I went from Christian belief to like new age belief, and I fell right down the rabbit hole. I've been seeing a few people online who are promoting all of this new age stuff, and they're presenting in a way that they want to help people. But when you go and look into what they're actually doing, they're trying to profit off of other people's vulnerabilities. And a lot of these people have zero education in psychology, and they don't know how to deal with actual trauma. Let's start with astrology. Not one astronomer on the face of the earth believes in this bullshit, and they study this for a living. Astrology is the idea that our personality traits are all based off of star signs. The easiest way to debunk astrology is to look at a couple of horoscopes on the same day, seeing how vague they are, and seeing how they will vary from prediction to prediction. One day you could read two different articles and they're completely different horoscopes for that day. Star signs were developed by ancient Babylonian people who were pretty much playing connect the dots with stars in the sky. The position these drawings made in relation to the sun on someone's birth date signified what the sign was. So for Taurus, it looks like a stick bowl that they drew in the sky, and that's how they came up with that symbol. The issue with these dates is that the planet wobbles over time through a process called precession. So at this point, everybody's astrological sign is 1 month off. So your star sign isn't even your star sign at this point. And there are literal people who will determine who they date based on their star sign. A star that's light years away from you has zero effect on your life. I don't know why people still believe in this stuff. It's an ancient form of making sense of the world. It hasn't changed in thousands of years. Science is always changing because we're always trying to find evidence for things. And how do we explain twins with different personalities? Shouldn't they have the exact same traits by being born in retrograde Sagittarius moon? Sean Carlson, a UC Berkeley researcher and doctoral candidate, conducted a double-blind experiment involving 28 astrologers. The double-blind referred to neither the experimenters nor the astrologers knew which personality descriptions were linked to the birth charts, helping to minimize bias in the results. The study was designed to test the astrologer's ability to interpret certain personality traits and attribute them to the birth charts. And as always with these charlatans, the astrologers could not perform any better than random chance in the experiment. The study concluded that the astrologers had no special ability to interpret personality traits from astrological readings. The astrologers actually performed worse than they predicted they would. This also indicated that the astrologers' ability to read people and analyze their character and predict their life course is not backed by empirical evidence. Don't believe in science? Let's read my horoscope for the day. Today brings emotional clarity and nurturing connections as you focus on personal growth, professional opportunities, and financial stability while caring for your well-being mindful routines. Let's read another one for the exact same day. You probably aren't worried about being conventional in your relationships, Cancer. In fact, conventionality is often what causes you problems. And there you have it. Two different horoscopes for the same day. Shouldn't they be predicting this same thing? I'm willing to bet that what I just read can apply to pretty much anybody. If it predicted something like I'm gonna drop a bottle on the ground at 3 p.m. and a car is gonna drive by at 40 kilometers an hour and somebody's gonna drop their ice cream, then I might start believing. None of these psychics and astrologers can pinpoint any real life events. We're hardwired to want to believe in this kind of stuff, and when we read it, it makes us feel good about ourselves. It's another mechanism that is used to separate people, and it becomes almost like a stereotype. When you go to date somebody, they won't date you because you're a certain sign, or they think that your birth date has some kind of effect on your personality traits, and it's all rubbish. I find the whole idea of magic and psychics fun if you look at it as entertainment. It also creates issues in your judgment. When you start believing in this stuff, you're more susceptible to believing in other stuff that's not true. Now I want to move on to another topic, which is psychics.
I'd like to start with this lady right here who's sitting right in the first row. I have a mother figure very strong coming around you.
When I was growing up, there was a lot of different shows that had psychics on them.
There's also something with a back, so I don't know if she sees us sitting have a pillow with the back of her.
And because of our religious upbringing, we had a tendency to believe that this stuff was real because we thought there was a spiritual battle going on around us. And what was really going on is these different psychics were doing what's called cold reading.
Who lost the spouse? Okay. I think I'm right here. Is your wife departed?
And what they would do is they would go in front of an audience and it would be heavily edited and you wouldn't see the misses. They'd use something common like, I'm getting an M or a J, and somebody would put their hand up. And as the person's giving them information, they're feeding off of that information.
What the issue with the legs? Paralyzed or something amputated? Or was there an issue with the legs where your husband was bed restriction? Is that correct?
I thought I was a little bit late to the party making this kind of video, but I still see people that believe in this stuff. They think psychics are real. They think these people can predict the future. They think they have a connection to the spirit realm.
Hey, what about me? I'm talking to dead people.
These people have no connection to any spirit realm. They're putting out the worm, and if someone bites it...
Where's Robert, Robbie, Rob? Where's the R? Can I get the mic to you guys over here? The four of you all together? The three of you? Okay. Robert?
My father.
Passed?
Yes.
Okay. Cancer?
No.
They pull it in and they just let the audience give them the information and they play off of that, which is cold reading. Psychics also use hot reading. In a lot of these talk shows, they would have their would-be victims fill out paperwork on what they wanted a reading of. And the psychics would read the information and then they would use it when they'd come out. I'm getting a burn over here, I'm getting a fire, and you'll see that they're coming out and people are reaffirming what they're saying because they filled out that paperwork. And because a lot of people want to believe in this stuff, they'll just go along with it and they don't realize that they filled out some paperwork and made the psychic look more psychic than they really are. This also gives the illusion that they're talking to someone's deceased relative. And the unfortunate thing about this is a lot of people that have deceased relatives will do anything just to feel a connection again. There was a time where I delved really deeply into the New Age movement. I believed in all of this stuff. I had a psychic reading done. There was a period of time where I actually thought I was psychic. I thought I was gifted. I thought I was more spiritual than other people, and I developed an almost narcissistic personality. And I see some people online, even now, that are positioning themselves as some sort of spiritual guru and selling courses, selling sessions with people on how they can heal people spiritually. I'm not telling anybody on the other end of this video what to do, but just know that when someone positions themselves as a spiritual healer, they're a charlatan or a scammer. The best way to get help if you have some trauma or mental health issues is to go see an actual professional that went to school, that has an accreditation behind their name and has real experience in dealing with this kind of stuff. There's all kinds of nonsense online where they say you can meditate your illness away, you can manifest things in reality without even having to work for it. When you're heavy into the toxic positivity and your head is up your ass, you don't prepare yourself for what's going on in life. I'm still seeing people fall for this stuff, and it's become a lot more prevalent in the past 5 years, I think, since the pandemic, because less people are believing in science and they're starting to look for alternative ways to remedy their problems, and this is definitely not a good way of going about it. Which brings me to another point, and that's all of these spiritual gurus presenting themselves as some kind of false prophet, that they can heal people, that they can use crystals to heal people. A crystal cannot heal nobody. It's not alive. It doesn't have any type of special healing properties. It's just a shiny rock. Over a span of a few decades, James Randi would offer tens of thousands of dollars, or even at one point he was offering $1 million to see who could actually prove that they were psychic under a controlled setting.
Magical thinking, is a slippery slope. Sometimes it's harmless enough, but other times it's quite dangerous.
The psychic, as well as the experimenters, like the scientists, they would agree to the parameters of the experiment, and then they would go on TV and prove themselves wrong time and time again.
James turned the page of a telephone directory without touching it, and you claim to have done that with psychic power.
Yes.
I guess they were so delusional that they believed that they had these special powers.
James, you are prepared to pay him $10,000 if he can turn the page of the telephone directory with certain controls.
That's right.
But not one person was able to substantiate any of their claims.
Now what I have here is particles of a white plastic, which when given a good heavy puff of air, will, I think, rather conclusively show whether or not blowing is a method accomplished.
Nobody collected the money, and this was going on for decades and decades.
The styrofoam and the lights form electricity which pulls the page.
Whatever static electricity exists in the styrofoam would not really affect the movement of the page or the cleaning of the pages together.
I have gone through many hundreds of these tests with many hundreds of people who claim to have psychic powers. When a simple, direct, very uncomplicated protocol is used and the control is applied, the psychic forces don't seem to be present.
I conclude that psychics, astrologers, and spiritual healers are all charlatans with zero scientific evidence to back their supernatural claims. There has not been one experiment that has been conducted that's been able to verify any supernatural claims in the history of humanity. And to all those people who determine who they date based on their star sign, remember that star signs actually mean nothing, and they're probably off by a month anyways. The planets and stars have zero impact on you, your future, and your personality. Try to open up to the fact that you're an individual that can carve your own path and live your own unique life. I think that's a much more empowering way to look at it anyways. That's all I got for this video. If you want to talk about it, leave a message in the comments. If you want to like and subscribe to this video, it helps me reach more people with this message. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, whatever time zone you're in. Stay skeptical. See you in the next video. I'm out.